Hey friends, it's Rana and welcome to the third episode of the Do We Match series, a series on my channel where every month or so I read one of my favorite booktubers' favorite books of 2020. Then I rate all the books they have on their list, and at the end of each episode, I give them a final score based on these ratings, and this final score will place the booktuber on the ranking list. And the ranking list currently looks like this, and the main reason why I decided to start the series is because I'm looking for the booktuber that matches my weird reading taste the best. And for today's episode, I'll be discussing Chanelle's favorite books of 2020. And the first book we have on her list is Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. Radio Silence follows our main character, Frances. She is an excellent student who dreams of studying English literature in Oxford or Cambridge. And most of the people in her school perceive her just as a nerd who loves to study all the time, and that's it. But actually, she is way more than that. She loves music, Marvel movies, Doctor Who, and many other things. And one of the things that she is very passionate about is a podcast on YouTube called University. She is always drawing fan arts of it and posting them on her Tumblr account, until one day she discovers that the creator of University is closer than she ever imagined. This book dives in and discusses many things like school, failure in life, family, friendship, identity, and mental health. There are a lot going on in it. As for what I think about it, I was pleasantly surprised. I have a very complicated relationship with YA contemporary books. I don't usually have the best of time reading them, so I was hesitant to read this one because it is so hyped and loved on BookTube. I was afraid that I will end up the black sheep again and hate on a popular book, but I liked it. I liked it a lot. Actually, I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars, which is pretty rare for me to give a YA contemporary book this rating. The plot is so well constructed and the characters felt so real. And I really love the balance between cuteness/fluffiness and heavy, dark topics. Also, can we talk about the diversity and representation in this book? Because damn, some authors seriously need to take some notes from this book about how to write diversity in their books without the readers feeling like it is forced. My favorite character and everyone's favorite character is Aled. He is a cinnamon roll. He is so precious. I just love him and want to give him a hug. At some point, the main character said, "You probably think that Aled Last and I are going to fall in love or something, since he is a boy and I am a girl." I just wanted to say we don't. And I was, yes, please say it louder for the people at the back, because we really need more platonic relationships in books. Not every relationship between a girl and a boy has to be a romantic one. The only thing that I didn't really enjoy is the overuse of pop culture references, but at this point I think it comes naturally with YA contemporary books and I need to accept it eventually. Oh, and by the way, why the hell everyone says that this book made them cry? You all fooled me. I thought that someone will die at the end of this book, and I was so stressed listening to the last hour of the audiobook. You have no idea how much stressed I was under, and it is all because of you. In conclusion, it is an amazing book and it deserves all the hype. The next book is Becoming. It is the memoir of Michelle Obama. I'm pretty sure everyone knows who she is, unless you have been living under a rock for the last 12 years or so. Her memoir is divided into 3 sections or parts: Becoming Me, Becoming Us, and Becoming More. The first part, Becoming Me, it traces her early life living in the south side of Chicago with her family, her education and university, her job as a lawyer in a law firm, where she eventually meets Barack. This section is definitely my favorite in this book because I had absolutely no clue about Michelle's background prior to reading this book, so I really enjoyed reading about her strong relationship with her family and how she met her husband. Then we have Becoming Us. This part talks about their romantic relationship, their marriage. It also talks about Barack starting his career in politics and how that affected their family. And the last section is Becoming More, which describes her and her family life in the White House after Barack became a president and how their life completely changed after that. I enjoyed this book immensely because I listened to Michelle herself narrating the audiobook, and I think she did an amazing job with it, which made it faster for me to finish the book even though it is a big one. If you are even slightly interested in this book, I highly recommend listening to the audiobook. It is amazing, and I gave this book in the end 4 out of 5 stars. The next book we have is The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. I really don't have much to say about this one because I read it 4 years ago and I don't remember much of it. It is a coming-of-age story and I give it 3 out of 5 stars back when I first read it. It was a good short read and it has a movie adaptation under the same title. And dare I say that the movie is better than the book? The movie was so good and my boy Ezra Miller was looking hella fine in it. I think he is the main reason why I enjoyed that movie so much, and in the end, the book was a decent one with shocking reveals, and I give it 3 out of 5 stars. The next book is The Henna Artist by Alka Joshi. This book is set in the 1950s India, and it follows Lakshmi, a henna artist, who escaped an abusive marriage 13 years ago when she was only 17 years old. And after she escaped, she went to the city of Jaipur where she started working hard day and night until she made her name as a great henna artist between the wealthy women of Jaipur. She is slowly saving money to build her dream house and to live the life of independence that she always pursued, until one day, her abusive husband appears out of nowhere at her doorstep with her younger sister that she never knew that she even existed, and the story starts from here. I listened to this audiobook while I was painting the walls of my room, and it was so fun listening to this description of Lakshmi's henna designs while painting, and I think it is my first time ever reading a book set in the 1950s India, so it was quite the experience. I enjoyed listening to this audiobook and I didn't find any trouble at all keeping track of all the characters, and I found it easy to distinguish between them, and I think it is due to the author's talent in writing. I gave this book 3.5 out of 5 stars, mainly because it was an entertaining read, despite it feeling like it was written for Western readers, and I really didn't enjoy the cheating element in it, and the adult scene, I found it disturbing. By the way, there was this one character called Malik, or Malik, however you want to pronounce the name. He is an 8-year-old boy who is so precious and funny, and I loved him. I think without him, I wouldn't have enjoyed this book as much. Next is A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown. This is a YA fantasy heavily inspired by West African cultures. The book follows the story of a refugee boy called Malik and Karina, the crown princess. They have nothing to do with each other and never met before, but they end up having to kill one another. Malik suffers from severe anxiety and panic attacks, which I wasn't really expecting to see in this book because it is really rare to see male characters portrayed like that in literature, so I appreciated it a lot, especially that it was well done. I also liked the world building and the overall atmosphere of the book. What I didn't like is the YA cliches like the insta-love that had absolutely no time to develop and it came out of nowhere and made no sense whatsoever. I also believe I would have enjoyed the book more if it was a teeny tiny bit shorter, but in the end I gave it just a solid 3 stars. Then we have There Will Come a Darkness by Katie Rose Poole. So this book is a Greco-Roman inspired book, and please remember that because I'm gonna discuss it in a minute. In the word of the book, and for many generations, humanity was guided by 7 prophets who used their vision of the future to end wars and to unite nations. But 100 years ago, the prophets disappeared and the world was left with one final secret prophecy that a very few number of people knew about. This prophecy foretells an age of darkness and the birth of a new prophet who could possibly save the world or completely destroy it. We still don't know yet. And the book follows 5 different point of views. Yes, You've heard me right, 5 POVs. A prince exiled from his kingdom, a ruthless killer known as the Pale Hand, a once faithful leader torn between his duty and his heart, a reckless gambler with the power of finding anything or anyone, and a dying girl on the verge of giving up. I don't know how I feel about this book. There was absolutely nothing wrong about it, but it wasn't mind-blowing either. It felt like an introduction to a bigger story, and it was full of info dumping. It was also very long, but nothing of importance happened plot-wise. It felt mediocre to me, and I didn't enjoy reading from that many point of views. Like 5 POVs is overdoing it, in my humble opinion. And about the setting, I saw many reviews saying that it was Greco-Roman inspired, and I didn't see that at all while reading the book. Like, it was really weird to read about a Greco-Roman inspired world with trains in it. Like, what? And there was this one thing that confused the hell out of me. Like, there was a handful of side characters and one main character with Arabic names. Hassan, Azizi, Halima, Amir are all Arabic names. And yes, I know that the Roman Empire reached the Arab world, but I felt like it was unnatural to use Arabic names in this book. It really threw me off. Like, the rest of the names in this book weren't of Greek or Roman origin. Some of them were, but not all of them, and the rest were just random names. So I don't know what the purpose of using Arabic names in this book. Yeah, maybe if African or Arabian-inspired settings used Arabic names, it would make a hell of a lot more sense than this one. Like in A Song of Wraiths and Rune, because it was inspired by West African cultures, it made sense for the author to use some Arabic names in it, because many African countries are Arab countries too. Like, for example, one of the main characters in A Song of Wraiths and Rune is called Malik, or Malik as we say it, but I prefer to pronounce it Malik. And it makes sense because African-inspired book uses Arabic name. It's totally understandable because African countries, some of them are also Arab countries. But when it is a Greco-Roman inspired book with Arabic names, it totally doesn't make any sense. Anyway, it's not a big of a deal, but I just wanted to mention it. In the end, I give There Will Come a Darkness a solid 3 stars. The next book is Know My Name by Chanelle Miller. This book is a memoir by Chanelle Miller telling us her story, how she got assaulted when she was unconscious by a guy called Brooke Turner while she was attending a party in Stanford University with her sister. She talks about how this assault changed her completely. She also takes us with her, explaining everything that happened to her before, during, and after that, and what happened in the court and all the legal side of the case. I already knew about her case. I heard about it a couple of years ago when it went viral. I also read it for Cindy's Do We Match video because it was also on her favorite books of 2020. Even though I already knew about her and her case, I found it to be fascinating and eye-opening to read about her side of the story regarding what happened. I love this book and I love Chanelle as a person. She is so nice and so smart. I just think that no one deserves to go through what she went through. I give the book 4.5 out of 5 stars. I knocked a 5 stars out of the rating because it dragged a little bit at the end when she went into some politics and discussed some other assault cases. It was appreciated, but I thought it was unnecessary for the memoir, and I was finding it hard to concentrate at the end of it. But overall, an amazing and important book, and I'm really glad that I read it. And the last book we have is Catherine House by Elizabeth Thomas. This book is about a college that is very hard to get into, but every year, the college accepts very few lucky students with shady backgrounds, and the tuition, board, and room are all free for them, in condition that they devote 3 whole years of their life for this school by not contacting anyone outside of it, including friends and family, no phones, no internet, TV, music, etc., i.e. no fun at all. We follow Inez, one of the few lucky students who gets into Catherine free of tuition, and while she is studying there, she starts noticing some weird and suspicious things happening there, and she starts to try to discover what is the truth and what secrets are hidden in the school. The book is well written, I'll give it that, and I somewhat like the Gothic-like setting, and that's it. Chanelle said that you either love this book or you hate it, and I hate it. This book claims to be a thriller mystery. Thriller my ass, because it was so slow, boring, and dry. As for the mystery thing, it was more of a confusing book because nothing truly gets explained. It is just a bunch of annoying characters eating, studying, getting drunk, and banging. And sometimes the author might just throw something intriguing from time to time, but does nothing at all with it. It was very anticlimactic and nothing really happens, like where is the plot? Because I can't see her. Listening to the audiobook helped me immensely finishing this book, because if I was reading it physically, I am absolutely sure that I would have DNF'd it. But even with the audiobook, some scenes were just unbearable for me. Like there was some scenes that kept repeating where characters are chanting nonsense like, you are in the house, and the house is in the woods. The woods are in the house. The stairs are in the house. Down the stairs is the hallway, and at the end of the hallway is the ballroom. The ballroom is in the house. You are in the house, and the house is in you. Like, what is this nonsense? The first time I heard that, I was like, oh, okay, that was a choice. But then it got repeated again and again and again. And I swear to God, every time I heard it, I felt like I was losing brain cells. And at one point, I snatched the earphones out my ear and screamed, enough already! If you can't tell, I hated this book. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. And I think I was generous with my rating. So that was all of Chanelle's favorite books of 2020. And after doing my math, her final score out of 100 is 68.75. I think Chanelle and I have really conflicting reading tastes. Like, I loved the 3 books from her list, hated one, and found the rest to be okay. But unfortunately, that will put her at the bottom of the ranking list, for the time being at least. But in the end, I still love her content and her videos, but we don't match reading taste-wise, and that's okay. So that's it for today's video. I hope you liked it. Please subscribe to see my future videos, and I'll see you next time. Bye!